Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edmund. I'm a TCM physician in EMW, Physiotherapy and TCM, and I have a master's in gynecology TCM. And today we are going to talk about conceiving a new life and what we have to know as a new couple. So, for example, probably you have been trying for close to 1 year, 2 year, or even 5 or 10 years, or probably you have just get married. Then there are a few things that probably we need to know uh, in order to try to conceive. So it's not like something that's second nature, just try it once and then, it's like 16 years old, 17 years old, just, out of accident. So sometimes probably we have been trying for quite some time and things just don't happen. So today we are going to talk about it today. And if there's any questions, feel free to ask in the chat below. So first thing that we need to know in order to try to conceive is it takes two to clap. Always remember it's not the women's problem only or the male problems only. So it's a mixture of both. And sometimes there are no obvious causes for it. So it's called unexplained infertility. And in Singapore, about 15% of the couples do not get pregnant naturally or successfully in the first 12 months. So we need to really get a diagnosis if things doesn't happen within 6 cycles of trying, especially if you are above 35 years old. Okay, so seek help early, and then probably you will get your baby sooner or later. So this is one of the key factors, because a lot of times, right, a lot of women came to our clinic and then they have been trying a lot of treatment. They go through 5-6 months of treatment and then nothing happened. So then they'll think that oh, probably TCM doesn't work, or probably they are beyond hope. That means their problem, the problems within themselves is something that cannot be fixed. But a lot of times, right, after 5 to 6 months of treatment, then after that they manage to convince their partner to go and have a sperm analysis, and then they start to realize that actually it's the male's problem. It's nothing to do. I don't say it's nothing. It's very little to do with the women, and a lot of times more to do with the men if they've been trying for quite some time without any good news. So the first thing that we need to really know that it takes two hands to clap. Okay, so always remember 3 things for natural trying to get conceived. First is the female must be ovulating. This one you can get it through ultrasound to scan during day 10 to day 14, or you can do ovulation strip, or you can check our basal body temperature. That I'll go into that later. Second thing, very important, is fallopian tube of the woman shouldn't be blocked. So if it's blocked, it's very difficult to get pregnant naturally. Okay, then you have to go through IVF. Third is the sperm analysis. So sperm shouldn't be of very detrimental problems. Your DNA fragmentation shouldn't be very high, and then your morphology, your motility shouldn't be that poor. So in my last webinar, we talked very intensively on sperm analysis and DNA fragmentation. So for those who want to know more about it, okay, you can scroll back to our previous videos, and then I'm sure that you'll learn quite a bit from it. So second thing that I think all of us need to know is when is a fertile window. Okay, not all women have 28-day cycle. This is something that is not heavily emphasized, because a lot of times when we go to the Google, we go Google, or even from our textbook, we will automatically be tuning that women has 28 days of 28-day cycle. Anything lower than that or more than that is abnormal. Okay, so it's not true. Okay, you can plus minus 7 as long as you do have ovulation, and then you do have a normal flow and it's regular, i.e. to say if you have 35-day cycle and it has been 35 days since for the last 6 months or the last 12 months, then you do have ovulation tested positive, you're still fine. Okay, it's not a reflection of your equality, it's not a reflection of your fertility. Okay, so don't worry about that. So second thing, we must know how to calculate ovulation. If your cycle length is 35 days, you just minus 14, then it'll be 21. So you actually ovulate on day 20 or day 21. And when are the days that you guys try? So very simple. Just get the last 3 cycles. Okay, let's say for example, if your cycle length has always been 35, 36, 35, 36, then you just minus 14, that will be 22 or 21. So treat that as your day 0. So day 0, minus 2, minus 4, plus 2, plus 4. What do I mean by that? So if 21st, 21 is your day 0, so minus 2 will be 19, minus 4 will be 17, plus 2 will be 23, plus 2 will be, plus 4 will be 25. So to try is on day 17, 19, 21, 23, 25. So these are the 5 days I usually recommend my patients to have intercourse with. And that's where it covers the entire period, and then you don't have to really stress yourself by looking into ovulation strips to think whether when I'm pregnant or not. So as long as you try during this period of time, sperm can stay inside the womb 1 to 3 days. Then after that, you don't have to worry that, if today you try, tomorrow you test positive, then tomorrow try again, then the day after you try again. So that's a little bit stressful for any couple. So we just try to maintain cool and calm alternate days, and that's the best thing that we can actually offer to ourselves. If your cycle day is 28 days, then after that, treat 14 as a day 0, minus 2, minus 4, plus 2, plus 4. That will be 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Now, probably you'll be thinking that it's a little bit forced. We have to time our intercourse, and then but if you want to try to conceive naturally, that's the best bet that we can offer ourselves. Unless you tell me that you can, without fail, every week at least 2 to 3 times of intercourse, then you don't need to calculate about this. The thing is, in today's world, in today's society in Singapore, intercourse frequency has been reduced throughout the years of marriage. And then if you don't have this homework to do, it's even more difficult for you to get pregnant. Now we cannot just leave it to chance, because probably, when you reach home, it's late at night, both you and the husband, or you and your partner, both of you are tired, then you just sleep through. So every day in and out, if it's this way, definitely you'll miss your ovulation period. You'll miss your fertile window. So what I'll suggest is a little bit forcefulness during this period of time. I would say the effort is more well spent, then probably you need to spend a lot more time and effort in days to come if you are going to do IVF or IUI. Probably that will take up more time and effort from you as well. So a little bit background on menstrual cycle. So knowing your own fertile window, you need to know what is your what's the hormones that is behind whatever things that you are doing. So for first phase, follicular phase, that's the blue color phase, it's around here. So this is the part where your follicles actually start to grow. And I would say that one of the follicle will be the dominant one, and then the rest will go into atresia. That means they'll slowly die off. And then that one dominant follicle, or 2 or 3, depending on your body, that during that cycle. So then that's the one that will ovulate, and then the ovules will come out and to be fertilized with the sperm. So whatever things that we do during this period of time is actually also very important. So the food that we're taking, the stress that we have, and then the amount of rest that we have during this period of time has a lot of factor, a lot of effect on your ovulation that is going to come later, which is the second stage. And that's where the estrogen level actually drops. And then this thing called luteinizing hormone, LH, will go to a surge, and that's where that you search it. You can detect it through your ovulation strips. So estrogen level has to be increased in order to trigger the LH surge. So that's why that you are given medicines such as Progynova that's during IVF cycle. If not, your body should be able to produce sufficient estrogen during a natural cycle. So after ovulation, that will be a luteal phase, the green color stage, and that's where the dreadful 14 days, 2 weeks wait happens. And after your intercourse, after your fertile period, or after your IVF transfer. So during these 2 weeks, so it's very important that we cannot overexert ourselves. And then if you're not pregnant, but you're trying, you have to treat yourself as pregnant during this period of time. So try not to be funny in doing any other dangerous stuff. and probably you'll be a little bit more tired because of progesterone. If you're taking Duphaston, progesterone tablets now, or Crenon gel, and you'll feel a little bit, a bit more tired, and that's your body telling you to rest, okay, and not trying to be garang and do things like HIIT during this period of time. No, so we need to be really mindful of which stage that we are at, and that actually helps you in with your fertility as well. And lastly, that's your menstruation, and all your hormones actually drops, and then your menses comes. So this is a very brief overview of what's the hormones underlying hormones that is behind your menstrual cycle. It's a lot more complicated than this, and then we just need to know the basics. And third thing that we need to know before you actually conceive, and that's tracking our basal body temperature. Now, BBT is something that we use quite a bit in our clinic, and we have to be mindful of our own temperature. We have to check our own temperature if we want to get pregnant naturally. Why? It's because that's where that I mean, from a professional point of view, that someone can actually help you to look and track your menstrual health through your temperature. So before ovulation, after menses, okay, this is in Fahrenheit, just ignore it. So after ovulation, after menses, temperature will be on the lower side. And then after that, after ovulation, temperature will increase. And that's why they have a spike, as well as a spike in the LH. And then for 14 days, temperature will be on the higher side. Then if menses is going to come again, or there's no chance of fertilization, the temperature will drop, and then menses will come. So it's very important to have 10 to 14 days of higher temperature during this period of time. That means your progesterone level is actually on the better side. And then it'll be good if we can observe whether is it a direct spike or it's a gradual rise in temperature. So all these things, I cannot go into details in this webinar, but this will affect how we actually prescribe our herbs and tailor our treatment protocol accordingly. So this is very important. And then whether do you have a long follicular phase, and then if your cycle is very long, 35 or 42 days, then this won't be on day 14. They'll be on day 21 or day 28. We have a lot of patients here who actually ovulate later and still get pregnant. So don't let that dishearten you. All right. So you can see from here, LH increase surge, and that's where that your progesterone actually continues during these 14 days. And then if nothing happens, your lining will be thickened, and then it will be shredded, so the menses will come for the next cycle. So this is why we should track our basal body temperature. Unless you have constant visit to the gynae, then you can do scans to monitor your follicular growth, and then probably you don't need temperature tracking. So how do we track temperature? We don't have to wake up every single day at the same time and to stress ourselves. For example, if you wake up later during weekends, you still have to force yourself to wake up at 6 or 7 on the weekends. No, as long as when you wake up, the first thing to do is to take a temperature, then that's it. So you wake up 7 in the weekdays, 8:30 during the weekends, it's still fine. You don't have to force yourself on the same time as well. So basal body temperature is only through the mouth. Oral temperature, it's not on the forehead, it's not on the ears. So only oral temperature. Okay, so this is an example of basal body temperature tracking. So you can see there's a low and high, low, high, low, high. So that means this person is ovulating, and it's quite well. You see the temperature spike. It's very good. This is a little bit gradual. This is a little bit gradual, but it's still fine. It's still okay. And then this little heart shape is the days that they try. Okay, so look, you see this cycle, this couple tried 6 times, but during the ovulation period, or I would say the fertile period, only 2 times of intercourse. This time, even 1 time intercourse, especially on the day that they tested positive on ovulation strips, they just tried once. So these 2 cycles, to me, they are not one cycle of trying. I mean, they are not one cycle of trying. Basically, they unconsidered, because when earlier on I said, try for 6 months unsuccessfully, then after that go for diagnosis. Now that 6 months, right? you have to be actively trying. And what do I mean by actively trying? This one, the third cycle. So you look at the number of hardship. It's all during the period where you're supposed to ovulate. And this is one cycle of trying. And only when 6 cycles of such intercourse, frequency of intercourse, and things doesn't work out, and then that's where that you can visit a gynae. A lot of times, it's this kind of cycles and this kind of frequency, and then you think that I've tried 6 months, 1 year, and nothing happened, so I'm infertile. No, you have to look at your frequency of tries, and that's where that 6 cycles of this, and then after that you get good. So even if you try almost alternate days every day, you still probably won't get pregnant because things happen by chance. So you go on to the next one, you see, 1 time or 2 times. You see there's 2 times, there's 1 time, there's 2 times. And then finally, they get awakened, and then they listen to my instructions, they do alternate days. And that's where they get pregnant, stay throughout. So don't get disheartened, because a lot of times it's just 1, 2, 3 times of intercourse. Only when you really try your best, and that's where that you really throw in the towel and just declare that, okay, nothing happens. No. So before you reach that stage, I will recommend everyone to, and encourage everyone to really try alternate days for 5 times at least for 6 cycles before you can declare yourself any other procedures to be done. So this is one of my patients, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So by convention, same thing, she tried to try intercourse during day 14, 16, 18, 20. And that's not going to happen, because your ovulation is never going to be that early in terms of, if you have delayed ovulation or having PCOS. So she continued to monitor. So I told her, as long as you start to notice cervical mucus, and then you can start to track your ovulation kit. And that's why they have a positive here on day 55. On day 55, correct. They have only 3 times of 3 times of intercourse. Day 58, 55, and 53. I think 2 or 3 times lah. And then temperature increases, and that's it, stays there. And she was pregnant, and she gave birth, I think, earlier on this year. So don't be disheartened again. For those who have very long cycles, don't know when is your ovulation, you just need a little bit of guidance on how to really track ovulation. And PCOS patients, I think that they do have a good chance of getting pregnant if they know when is the ovulation. Or rather, they be very mindful, and they be very observant of their own symptoms and signs of ovulation. So first thing, take your temperature first thing in the morning. And if your cycle is regular, based on 28 days, you should have a temperature rise around day 14 or day 16. As I mentioned, minus 14. So if you fall sick, taking alcohol, you're having a lot of stress, doing shift work, taking drugs, that means medication, and lack of sleep, all these things can affect your temperature. So it's very important to have a good lifestyle, which is something that we in EMW always emphasize on. It's not just you come in, just do acupuncture, just take herbs, and that's it, go home. Okay, you really need to be active in taking charge of your own life. If not, nobody can help you. Passive treatment is always only around 30%. 70% is all entirely on your own. How is your mindset? How is your emotions? How is your physical state? And that's very important in conceiving as well. So 4th will be tracking your cervical mucus. So cervical mucus is something that is, we really have to be very, very observant. So cervical mucus, if you're not ovulating, is quite dry, and it's before ovulation, it will be a little bit cloudy. And during ovulation is where that you have wet and watery, cloudy or creamy, about bottom here. And then during ovulation, there's one more thing, which is stretchy. So not every woman will have this ideal kind of cervical mucus. So don't be worried, don't freak out if your cervical mucus doesn't happen, or usually it's a little bit dry. Okay, probably it just means that estrogen level is on the lower side. Certain herbs and acupuncture can actually help with that. If not, then you can, I mean, if it's affecting your intercourse, then probably you can take, I mean, you can use things like lubricant, and some they don't actually affect the sperm. So it's very useful for couples with that kind of problem. So there's a little chart here. So dry, sticky, creamy. Then after that, you start to see cervical mucus that's watery and wet, and that's where that you have a sticky, stretchy resemblance. And then after that, once you find that it's becoming dry again, and that's where ovulation has stopped. 2 weeks wait has happened. So if it's hurting during intercourse, don't try to force it, because this time where you shouldn't have intercourse. Your body will think that probably you shouldn't have intercourse during this period of time. And fifth, which is something that is very, very heavily marketed in the market, ovulation kit. You know, you have brands like Clear Blue, Watson, Guardian, and there are a lot of ovulation strips that is linked to an app that is sold online, and all these things is fine, it's okay, as long as it doesn't cause you any stress. So there are a lot of couples, I mean, a lot of women, they are so freaked out when they don't see a double line, and they get very stressed out. And then if they don't see a double line throughout, and then they'll fall emotionally upset. So for this ovulation strips, day 16, you can see there's a double line here, and that's why this women will ovulate on day 16. Now, if you treat day 16 as day 0, so your -2 will be 14 and 12, 18 and 20. You still have to try during this period of time. So don't think that ovulation has happened, oh, that's it, you can take a break. It will be better, you know, 2 days later and 4 days later, 2 days before and 4 days before. So when you see the faint line and you start to see cervical mucus, don't wait until the dark line to appear, then you start trying. See cervical mucus and see faint line, start trying alternate days. Unless you have PCOS, then faint line can be a little bit misleading. You know, you can have a lot of faint line almost every single day before you land up on the dark line. Okay, so we have to be mindful on that. So that brings us to the end of today's session. So today we just go through more on what is what to look out for when you are trying to conceive. Always remember that few factors: basal body temperature, knowing your own fertile window, takes 2 hands to clap. You know, your husband must be on board together in this journey. Tracking your own cervical mucus, then as well as tracking your ovulation kit. So for next webinar, from my side, we'll be talking a little bit more on, you know, how diet can actually boost up your fertility, and how exercise actually affects your fertility. Then how stress can affect your fertility as well. So so that's one question. So if my cycle length is 60 days, and then ovulation happens on 40, so my ovulation happens, is it on 46th day? So the general rule will be 60 days, you know, minus 14. So 46 plus minus 4, usually that will be your ovulation. Now, this is only on the basis that your cycle is constantly and regularly on 60 days, which seldom happens. Sometimes it will be 50, sometimes it will be 60, sometimes it will be 70. So this is just a general rule. Same thing, once you start to see cervical mucus, check your ovulation kit, and then check your temperature as well. So for example, in this case, so it won't be 52, 54, 56 every single cycle. So it can vary. So you have to be very mindful on that. So my menses comes every 3 months. Every 3 months, that will be around 90 days each. So same thing, in 90 days, you minus 14, that will be 70 plus days. 70 plus days, then if you start to check out cervical mucus, I mean, you start to see cervical mucus, as well as you track your ovulation kit, and that's where that you will know that your ovulation has happened, and then you can start to try intercourse. So with that, no other questions. One last thing, so how EMW can actually help with fertility. So what we usually do with patients is we do a full TCM assessment on your body constitution and your change or try to, optimize your lifestyle and dietary habits. So we'll give you herbs as well based on your body constitution. We'll do acupuncture to improve sperm, improve your menses. We'll do moxibustion, and then we'll do TCM back or abdominal acupressure. That is to boost up, vitality within your reproductive meridians. So that is what we do. These are the 3 locations that we have. Usually, for myself, we are located at Scotts Road. This is where that we focus a lot on women's health and fertility as well. So we also work hand in hand with gut and moxibustion center. Not a lot of patients rotate around these 2 centers because they do moxibustion. We can't do moxibustion in our center. And then for those with endometriosis, vaginismus, or PCOS, some women have to lose weight before they can go for further intervention. We work hand in hand with physio as well. So we have a large team, and this together you'll be under good hands for your fertility journey. So with that, I end my session today. We'll see each other again the next time. Bye bye.